Hollywood's favorite inclusion study creates an outrage loop. This is yet another Substack. And I believe you have the notes for this story, Badger, if you would.
Hollywood diversity studies, particularly those from USC's Annenberg Inclusion Initiative and the UCLA, are asking the wrong questions when it comes to the lack of female blockbuster directors. These studies focus on simple head counts and outcomes, such as how many women directed the top 100 films each year, rather than studying the actual process of how directors reach that level. Studies like the Annenberg assume that unequal outcomes automatically mean discrimination and that all filmmakers aspire to direct blockbusters. Many female filmmakers may pursue independent or artistic careers instead, making the top 100 box office list an imperfect measure of success. A major criticism is that Annenberg treats the film festivals like Sundance, television, and Netflix as a pipeline leading to blockbuster filmmaking, even though there's little evidence these are sequential steps. The careers of successful female directors, such as Greta Gerwig and Chloe Zhao, follow different paths, suggesting there is no single pipeline. Ultimately, Hollywood diversity research has created an Ouroboros, or self-perpetuating cycle. 1, a study releases statistics showing underrepresentation. 2, headlines and industry outrage follow. 3, new programs and initiatives are created. 4, little changes because the underlying causes were never identified. And 5, another study is released and the cycle repeats. These studies measure who reaches the top, but not how they get there. Until researchers examine the actual career pipeline and identify where women are being filtered out, they cannot determine why there are so few female blockbuster directors or how to increase that number. This does not mean discrimination is absent, only that current research is incapable of proving its role or prescribing effective solutions.
Well, let's talk about it. We're never going to have a completely perfect box of crayons.
Where's female James Cameron?
With everyone represented. It just, I think, honestly, having been around since a long time, decades, covering entertainment, certain types of people are attracted to certain jobs. That is just the way it is. I think when it comes to hair, makeup, it's mostly women and gay men. Sorry to say, when it comes to publicists, it's mostly women and gay men in that. And then also, I just think that's the way it is. I don't know. Is that a crazy thing? Do we have to force
people? It's verifiably proven by country data. The more egalitarian, the more different the things are between genders. Men are interested in things and women are interested in people. It's just broadly speaking how it is. That's why you see more teachers and doctors, nurses be women and guys be fucking mechanics. And it's not just the physical part. It's just that we're interested. Toys, gear porn. We like that.
And I just think, look, there are more men, I hate to say, that are like more interested in being a director. That's a role that they're more interested in. That's why there are more male directors, not because of no opportunities being given. I get press releases several times a week about some program for female direct. They are pushing so much, and it's even there's a sigh of relief when if they can just find a way to hire more in a certain category, like they'll do that. But what I'm saying is certain people like certain types of things, and that's okay. I don't know.
And it's even just a skill set thing. Like different types of people are, whether it be race, gender, whatever, are just skilled in certain directions. And that's like a statistical fact. It's like looking at the NFL and it's 56% of it is black men that are in the NFL because they're better at it, right? So it's like if you're looking at these other jobs, it's like maybe the skill set is just catered in a certain direction due to other factors that we are refusing to acknowledge.
Well,
or
also,
I say we.
Women are pragmatists. Women are too smart to get involved in Hollywood, which is a horrible, awful place to go. And it's like if you look at something, for instance, this is a terrifying thing to me, but women now dominate the field of genre, science fiction, and fantasy literature. Men aren't reading anymore, and men aren't writing traditional genre fiction. It's completely dominated by women because women are reading. Women's imaginations are fired up. And all of the old school men that dominated science fiction and fantasy writing have almost been completely swept away, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. What I think is the bad thing is that men aren't reading anymore, because people like Andrew Tate have said, I don't own a book. Well, F you, Andrew.
Did he really say that? That's
yes,
kind of ironic.
He did really say that. And, the thing is, when it comes to making movies are so pie in the sky, fantasy. The idea that you're going to make a film and it's going to get somewhere. As I said, women are too smart to engage in that folly. I mean, I don't. The funny thing is, no one's keeping anybody out of any shape, size, color, and creed. But to make a film is to commit to something that might lead nowhere. And that requires dreamers. And there are dreamers of every gender and of every religious persuasion and of every belief system. But making movies is an endlessly difficult. There is no gratification at all when you make a film, until perhaps maybe you're part of the 1% whose movie gets seen. And you go to a festival and you get feted by everybody and everyone says how great you are, and then your film doesn't get picked up for distribution and you're left right where you began. It's as if you didn't make another movie.
Oh,
who's keeping out anyone from? Anybody can make a movie. Anybody.
It is, especially an independent movie, there is no barrier to entry.
Zero.
There is zero barrier to entry for an indie film. And even studio movies, most of those, the ones that the individual filmmaker approaches a studio, they're independent outside the studio. The studio isn't like a lot of movies, like Chris Nolan, he has a production company. He makes the movie, sells it to the studio. They finance it. Right?
One of the greatest movies of 2026 was directed by a black woman. And that is 28 years later, The Bone Temple.
That was great.
And that movie is amazing. And, and she also made another movie, the Hedda movie.
That movie was not so great.
Not so great, but that's what happens. You have two different movies, and nobody went and saw Bone Temple, so it's seen as a failure, even though I'd say it's the most metal thing of the year. And then she makes Hedda, which isn't, but you know what? She's a lifer, man. She started out being a PA on like Spike Lee movies. She has it in her blood since she was a little girl.
Yeah,
that was her calling.
Yeah, she's the one who did the Marvels, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, if you listen to the Marvels commentary track by her, she really knows her stuff. So
she really knows her stuff. And the Bone Temple shows you she knows her stuff.
The other side of that article is it's basically plain out saying directors aren't special. Anyone can be a director and they're all interchangeable.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
I know, but that's the implication of it.
Right.
Did you say that you have to be like a really good project manager? Is that like the same skill sets you'd need for directing?
Well, that's
just
it's just one of the skills. But I think there's so many complexities to being a director. Having met so many directors and filmmakers in my time, I feel like each director kind of has their, like, I like working with director or like actors, or I gravitate more towards tech and camera stuff. I'm more of a writer's director, there's so much to being a director. I think when you look at individual directors, they gravitate towards a certain thing. Would you say that, Rob? Also, like, there's like so much to that skill set.
Well, I mean, you can't even I can't even as somebody I've directed, a feature film that I co-wrote and edited and then produced a number of movies. I can't even explain how many things you have to know, but the most important thing about knowing how to direct a movie is knowing how to communicate with all the other people that are working for you that have incredibly different skill sets than you have. And they're all looking at you to tell them what you want. What do you want this to be? And the thing that I see with a lot of directors, even directors I've worked with that I've been producing, and I'm not talking about Dave Parker, he's awesome, is that a lot of directors get into the positions they get into without knowing what they want.
Yeah.
And the worst thing in the world, and here's advice for any director I can give you. You have half a day to win your crew between 7 o'clock, your call time, and noon when they call lunch, or 12:30. They will know if you're their director or you're going to fight your crew the whole way. And how do you win your crew? By knowing exactly what you want. If you don't know, if you're like, what's the next shot? Let me tell you what the next shot is. Don't ever go, I need 5 minutes to think about it. That's the difference between a great director and a bad director.
Well, and the extra thing is, are you even allowed to direct your own movie? So the only defense I will give of Nia is that very much seemed like we're going to have female stars, female written, female director, blah, blah, blah. But most of the action scenes have already been shot by the fucking second unit. And you don't have actually any autonomy over any choices. And just, that's very
true. That's very true.
I almost feel like, not to make an analogy to California politics, the directors these days are cast. And in some way, in the state of California, at least, I feel like our elected officials are appointed. They're appointments more than elected.
And that happens to dudes too, of color. It was the directors of, and then they got their Batgirl movie canceled. That they basically felt just cast and used by them, and didn't have any autonomy or anything.
Yeah. I just feel like women always, or recently, do feel like they are in a lot of different roles in film. Maybe they just gravitate to other jobs because that's what they are specifically passionate about. I know that I probably couldn't handle a project management on a scale like that, and it would probably involve a lot of conflict, which I don't particularly like. So I don't know if I think a lot of people just gravitate to positions that they excel at, and that just happens to be where men are just fulfill directing.
But that's the trick, right? Because you like characters. So you like characters and the interplay between characters and people and feelings and emotions. That's all very women, right? But then you also have to be a taskmaster and deal with creatives who want to override you. So it can't just be one part. It has to be both.
I wish there wasn't as much corporate interests invading the creative process as there seems to be an increasing amount lately. I don't know if that will ever get fixed, but there needs to be that balance. I don't know.
Well, that's why you make an indie film, to have that kind of control. But I also think that part of it is men are more willing to be assholes and don't care what people think about them. And I think women are less interested in being seen as disruptive, or they don't want to, that's just my personal observation,
Yeah. Well, and my wife
do more in editing and other jobs.
Yes. I mean, one of the greatest editors ever to live was Marsha Lucas.
Blaine about to get in trouble. My wife has no problem giving orders.
Well, Thelma Schumacher and Mother Cutter, Verna Fields, who cut Jaws, and Coates, who did Lawrence of Arabia.
Sally, Tarantino's editor. What's her name? Sally. Forget.
Sally Menke.
Yeah.
Right. No, what I was going to say, my wife is a project manager, but she is deeply in that field of people doing that, which is typically mostly a man-led job. She's very good at it, but she's talked about how other women will get into that field and cause a lot of chaos because of the management of these different roles, and worried about relationship management with all of these people, and chaos kind of ensues because they're worried about someone being mad at somebody over here, and it's all of these, like, there's so many moving pieces and parts that women regularly will get held up on. And I could definitely see that translating even in like a director type job, where, as she talks about, where it's like these women will get in and just kind of freak out because they're like worried about maintaining all of these relationships, where a dude will just be like, all right, fuck this guy, we got to get this done, let's go over here and do this. Whereas a woman would handle it totally differently.
It's funny you mentioned that, but in my professional career, the best and worst managers I've ever had were women.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but we don't have any clips of famous actresses blowing up on set, but we got a couple of fucking clips of different people. By the way, Christian Bale was completely correct.
Good for you.
Right. Walking behind my eye line. Yeah.